I'm Sandy McMaster, and welcome to Renovating Real Estate, where each week we renovate the way real estate operators think, decide, and execute. We always use the identity ops method here because most people never operationalize what makes them different. This week, we are talking about designing for confidence because confidence, believe it or not, it is not a personality trait. It is a design outcome. So if you've been second guessing everything lately, it might not be your mindset. It might be your mechanics. So let's fix that. If you've been in and around the gym community, you've probably seen this happen too. A new member either signs up, shows up, ready to work out, really eager, excited. And maybe they get 3 sessions with a personal trainer and they're half honest about their goals and why they're there. They show up eager, excited, but they sort of stand back at the top of the gym and they scan the entire place and they say, well, I guess I'll go over there because it's the most empty. Or I guess I'll go over there because I don't have to wait. Or I guess I'll go over there. Oh, I don't know. I'll just copy somebody. Sound familiar? That is exactly what happens in our industry. And it's not for a lack of want. It's not for, honestly, a lack of drive. It's not for a lack of mindset. It's a lack of plan. And you watch these folks come in regularly for maybe 2 to 3 months, and they're not seeing results. So what do you think happens? Right? They have no plan, or they weren't honest about maybe who they were in the pursuit of fitness um, instead of I need more confidence, they say I just want to get more fit. And because they're not, they've never had the experience or the layer of a plan or somebody who helps them design a plan for them, not for the general gym population. Instead, they wander, they get frustrated, they don't see results, and they quit. Sad, right? Especially when fitness is so important. Well, so is running a business. So it is not surprising that I see this very similar thing. I've been in and around gyms my entire life. So I've seen this play out quite a bit. And a lot of you in real estate have probably felt that, if not from the gym participant perspective, from a regular gym goer. You've seen it happen. Well, what if the person is there to improve their cardiovascular fitness because they've just been diagnosed with a heart condition and they need to do that? Or what if, they're in pre-diabetic situation and they need to just start movement, any kind. The layers of complexity when it comes to your personal fitness is no different than entering the business gym, right? So it's sad when you watch somebody come in and they're so tentative that they're not really honest about what they need or what they want. When they don't feel a level of comfort to be so vulnerable that they will share it with an expert who can help them design. And instead of that, they borrow somebody else's plan. They copy somebody else's plan. Now, you know, and I know that's not going to go so well. Lightning strikes every now and again, sure. But if you're designing for the long term, a career, a brokerage, it's going to need more detail and more intention than that. And it leads me to 4 points, and I'm going to give you sort of like a minimum effective dose, much like a workout, right? We don't need to really spend 2 hours a day in there. Now, if you want to, like me, yes, then you can linger if you would like, because once you discover what you're really there to do and you really love what you're doing, you want to be there. You are excited to be there. the movements make sense, right? It's the same with the business gym. But if we never get there, we are borrowing identity. And the default, unfortunately, for most of us, is just to copy somebody else. And again, the reason why identity ops exists is because I suffered from that. And I'm okay with people, in the beginning, you maybe want to figure out where is the cardio section? Where is the strength section? How do I operate that machine? I get that. But at some point, we've got to graduate because we can't just expect results from borrowed identity. It always will cost somebody later. And unfortunately, that is most best practices. They are just other people's decisions. They've made the decisions, the constraints, they've put them in their calendar. They've made those hard boundaries and they're living by them. And when you borrow them, if they're not your own, that's going to be a problem later. So I'm okay with copying as a bridge, especially if you're newer. But if you never graduate into choices, you end up living inside somebody else's business model, inside somebody else's identity. Oh no. So we've got to stop people from wandering. It's less about finding the perfect system, which I hear a lot of people talk about. What's the perfect system? It's less about that. And it's more about deciding what you believe. And that looks like, on a calendar, deciding what you're not available for. Because fit beats volume. If you were taking notes, I would say write that down. Fit beats volume. You are not building leads. You're building belief. At least you are here in the identity ops methodology. We are not optimizing for leads. We're optimizing for fit, both for you and, more importantly, your consumer. The goal is to create mechanisms, methods, systems, repeatable things for a fit flywheel. That fit flywheel is not just for you, it's for your consumers. Here is where the aim is not just to gain attention, but alignment. Design repeatable actions that actually attract people towards you and at the same time turn you into an enthusiastic participant. These repeatable actions that are the people who you really want to work with. And it represents what you actually do. And it really repels the rest. Now, that's a beautiful life. That's a gym workout you want to show up for, right? So here's a question for you, listeners. If somebody were shadowing you last week, important that we say last week, not your imagined week, not the week you planned on your 2026 planner. If somebody shadowed your week last week, what problem would they conclude you solve? What problem would they conclude that you solve? When you think about that and you review the reality of your calendar, it's okay if you feel a little not surprised, because you were there. You were there for it. But when you look at it from that lens and you understand how you're using time, it really becomes quite illuminating. Your calendar is not your to-do list. It's the product. It's what's creating the product of what you deliver. And in identity ops world, we treat the schedule really as the delivery mechanism of your brand. It's really important because so many people use a calendar as if it's a place to put their intentions. It's really the receipt of your priorities. Let's say that again. It's really the receipt. It's what happened last week. That's what's really your priority. That's what people see. That's what people feel That's your brand. Now, if you're really pleased with the answer, fantastic. If not, the idea here is not to get more done and to do more. It's really just to look at it with a lens with which to say, what does my time prove I believe? What do I believe? Because here is where the bridge starts to go from actions, belief, and proof. Time is not a container. Time is not a container with which to squeeze more in. It's a mirror. When I first recognized that, that's when changes started to happen. A lot of agents just will stay busy because they're trying to do everything and be everything to everyone. You can read more about this on this week's Substack. I won't go too deep here, but when you're trying to just squeeze more in, that's not a plan that builds confidence. Confidence is a muscle you either grow by going to the gym, just like growing a muscle. Confidence is a muscle you either grow or ignore. It is an outcome of how you operate, not a personality trait. Confidence is not something we just summon up for a listing presentation. It's something you earn. And you earn it through understanding what to say no to, creating constraints, keeping boundaries that force you to make decisions you believe in. Agents need fewer open loops, fewer default yeses, and clear rules for what gets your best hours. That's what makes your decisions feel clean, and what makes your voice feel like yours, because it's your decisions. So if you want to sound confident, you have to create boundaries with which to create your own point of view. You have to have a point of view. And if you never gain the confidence to express your point of view, what you will and will not do, it's because you've never taken the time to exercise that muscle. You're too busy being everything to everyone. And why does that matter in the first place? Because your point of view is what your customers are willing to pay for. It's what they want from you. So we have to build that confidence muscle to have that point of view. And that comes from boundaries and constraints. So there's 3 moves I'm going to give you. How do we do this quickly every day? Because honestly, I remember what it was like. My kids are grown now, but I remember what it was like when I had genuinely probably 2 hours to really dedicate to building my business. If I was lucky enough to get them all to school, if I was lucky enough to have food in the fridge, if I was lucky enough to make a meeting, if I was lucky enough to do all these things and carry through all these obligations, I was left with maybe 1 to 2 prime hours with which to get something done before you rush off to pick up, before you rush off to be the volunteer, before you rush off to be a part of the PTA, all the things. Honestly, I don't know how I did it. I don't know how any of us do it without a plan. So here is the minimum effective dose, the minimum effective workout, if you will, to go to your business gym today. We've got 3 moves for you. Now, it might take you about 10 minutes to set this up, maybe 15, and then you've got to execute it. So remember, move number 1, your most important move. This might take you 15 to 45 minutes. You are designing one repeatable action to create a client fit flywheel. Think about that. 15 to 45 minutes. Who's my right client? What can I do to speak to them? What is one repeatable action I can do today that creates future clients? It doesn't have to be one creative new thing. No. Decide, well, you've got to do some self-awareness work. Identity Ops can help you with that. But once you do, you're doing that one repeatable action for that day to create and keep that fit flywheel turning. Okay? So that's maybe 15 to 45 minutes. It is absolutely the most important thing you can do with your day. If you just get one thing done, beautiful, beautiful. Now, everything else, including the next 2 moves, doesn't exist until that one gets done. So you're creating, and if you need help, if you need to spend that 15 to 45 minutes at first just thinking about that and creating that, great. That's worthy work. Awesome. Okay, client. The next move that we're going to do is a current client move. That, again, it might be 15, 45 minutes depending, but what's one action that meaningfully reduces a current client's stress? Worthy work for the day. And lastly, a capacity move. What boundary are you going to enforce today? What boundary are you going to enforce today? That might look like a hard stop. It might look like carving out specific office hours. It might be saying a very respectful no to somebody or something. It might be delegating a task, telling yourself a hard truth. That's worthy minutes to spend. If you've only got 1 to 2 hours to truly dedicate to crafting and building your business gym, this is a move that might prove the most useful downstream. A hard truth is going to save future you from regret. So that's a worthy. All right, let me just quickly review those. This is a minimum effective dose to building your business gym. You want that first move to create a client fit flywheel. What's one repeatable action I'm going to do today that creates future clients by fit? Move number 2 is a current client move. How can I reduce their stress? Well, it's worthy work. And number 3, a capacity move. You've only got so many good hours in the day. Let's make sure we're using them. What boundary will I enforce? What boundary will I enforce? Or what hard truth may save future you from regret? These are 3 moves. And, this concept is more than productivity. It's identity training. This is identity training. It's growing that confidence muscle. These are things you have to do in order to build that confidence muscle. So each day you practice being the kind of operator your marketing claims you to be. So this repetition, this, I don't know, maybe 1 to 2 hours a day, this repetition, that's the point. Just like a muscle, it's got to get the work in. Otherwise, it's just not gonna move the wheel. And yeah, you know what? It does not have to be these epic reinventions, right? Small, repeatable actions. This is what makes this stuff real on a daily basis. It's not one annual plan. It's not hiring the guru. It's these small, repeatable actions that grow your confidence inside this real estate industry. You don't hear me when I say this. You don't need a new you. You are enough. You just need a small, and I say this with love and respect, you just need a smaller set of promises that you actually keep. It's true. I had to tell myself that too. I say that with love. But if you're stuck in wandering mode and you're really just a whirling dervish of promises, and this might be on your, you might have just overpromised yourself that you were going to do too much in 26. I get it. Just choose one of those defaults, one of those promises that you're like, whoa, that was a mistake. Choose one of those you're willing to break out of this week. Choose one of those to say no to. We want to get you into promises you can keep to yourself. Boy, it makes a big difference. So In closing, if any of this landed with you, just pick your 3 moves for tomorrow, put them on your calendar before the day starts tomorrow. And if you know of another agent who might need to hear this, sharing this episode, rating this episode, reviewing this episode, it's really what keeps this renovation going from my end. And of course, we would deeply appreciate it. You can read the full article on Substack. Just go look for Renovating Real Estate on Substack, and you can learn more about identity ops at sandymcmaster.com. We will be back next week.